Hello and welcome back to a Kooky Corner of YouTube. Today we're going to be looking at ATCs, but the ATCs we're going to be looking at are fabric ones. Follow along and I'll show you how I made it. So ATCs, I've made loads over the years and I can't remember ever making a fabric one. So that's what I set myself a challenge to do and I think I achieved it. But if you want to make one of your own, if you're interested in having a go or a set of them, then let's have a look at how this one was put together. So the first thing you need is an ATC size piece of backing. I used felt. And I can't actually show you on this one because it's covered over, but it's just a piece of felt which is 3.5 by 2.5, which is the standard size for an ATC. If you're not sure what an ATC is, it is an artist trading card. These were generally traded amongst artists, so you'd have a set or whatever and you'd send one off and then you get one in return. That's how it generally worked. The other exception to this was ACEOs, which was, I think it stood for art card editions and originals, I think, something like that. But yeah, they were always 3.5 by 2.5 inches, and that way you could trade them like cards, you know, like Pokemon cards or whatever that kids trade around. So yeah, the fabric ones. So all you need is some little scraps. You really don't need much for something this small. You can see it fits in the palm of my hand. Your usual threads and also some added extras. Now on this one, I've stitched a little word onto some fabric, which I've then stuck on the front of it. I could have stitched it on actually, but I just wanted to get it on quickly. This is one that I put together rather quickly so that I could show you the whole technique. But yes, this has got beads, sequins, stitching, a little bit of stamping, should I say, because I actually stamped myself some backs for these onto some calico. I'm going to show you how to do that now because they need a little bit of time just to dry off. So yes, I've got an artist trading card stamp that I used to use on some of my paper artist trading cards or card artist trading cards. But I thought this is going to work. I'm sure it's going to work on fabric. So this is my stamp. It's on a little clear block, so I can see where it's positioned. And how this works is, you grab yourself some calico. I've got a whole strip of it here because I can do a few at a time with that, but I'm just going to do one for now because I have got a whole load of these. And what else you're going to need is a VersaCraft or something similar. This is a multi-purpose water-based pigment ink, which is good for fabric painting if you can heat set it so you can iron it when it's dry. It's archival, etc, etc, etc. So this one is a forest green one. They do come in many various colours, so I'm just going to ink up my stamp. Make sure I've got plenty on there because your fabric is absorbent. Bet you didn't know that, did you? Okay. So I'm going to leave some space around it because I'll show you for why later. So this is just slightly smaller than like an ATC, this actual stamp itself. Pressure on it, make sure that it's transferred and take it off. And then you've got your artist trading card on the back. Now, what you can then do is to cut that out, fold it under, and it can then become a backing for your artist trading cards. But for now, I'm going to leave that just to dry a bit, heat set it with an iron, and then we'll carry on with the rest of our ATC. Okay, so I've gathered all my pieces together, straighten my camera. seems to be going on a wonky situation. So I've got my needles, showing my needle case. I'm wearing I found this the other day. It's a little pin cushion that I made for my finger. It's like a ring pin cushion. Made it years ago. Found it out and thought, yes, I'm going to start using you again. It's very handy. It's adjustable as well, so I can tighten it around my finger. So these are the pieces that I put together. Let me just go through. You can do absolutely anything you want on your ATCs. I'm just getting rid of those little threads. But I have organised, so I've organised my bits and pieces. Just come straight because I'm going to stick that one on. So I'll just take those off for now. So I'm going to do a cup of tea. And this is how it eventually will look. Actually, very lightly stuck that down. Little band on that piece of felt there. It's got a little handle that goes on the side. Got a little tea bag that's going to come out there. I've got a little bit of string for my tea bag. Let me take you in a bit closer. There we go. And this, I always have a little bit of bling on mine. That's going to go somewhere there, maybe. Not quite sure exactly yet, but that's going to be on it somewhere. Now, to write on your fabrics, I actually wrote this one on. You could stitch it on. I have stitched that one. You could just write it if you like. And what I'm using for this and for the artist trading card are these Identi pen or laundry pen. So this one's a Pilot Laundry Tech. And this one's a Sakura Identi pen. They both do the same kind of thing. They are for marking laundry or permanent marking something, especially like laundry. This one's got two tips. So it's got a thicker one at that end there. And then a finer one at that end. And then this one is just one tip. So you have to test it out and see which ones you like the best. That's got a 1 millimeter thickness. Anyway, that's another way you can do it. You can also write on your pieces and then sew them as well, so that you've got something there. That's another way to do it. So I'm going to start at the top corner here and just running stitch all the way across. I had a little bit of yellow felt left for this one, although you didn't actually see it in the end, so it doesn't really matter what colour you use, or if you want to use something else, you could use some I don't know, some batting maybe instead of felt. It really is up to you. And if I decide to as well, I might not do the whole of this with one thread. I might change my thread and go down with a different thread, just to break things up a bit. You can see what I'm doing and then take that pin out as I come to it and can go in my pin cushion. I'm finding it really handy having that little ring cushion as well, because it if I take pins out and put them somewhere else, I tend to forget I've done it. Old age. Who'd have it? Forgetful brain. And mind you, I can't say that's down to old age. I think it's just me generally. So, do another row there. So you're catching everything down. And quite like the look of that pink against the green. Something nice about that. So I am going to continue with this until this is all completed, and then I will be back to you to show you what we do next. So this has now been running stitched all over. You can see that right from the top to the bottom. And what I'm going to do now, I'll get rid of this ring. I don't actually need it anymore. It's got all my little pins in it there. Pop it on there. Let's get my other pieces back. So what I want to do is to position the cup so that I can see where it will go, and that way I can then embellish any other areas I want to embellish. So that on there. I'm going to have some little steam lines going up from my cup, I think, so that will be stitched in there. And my tea bag, well, my tea bag label is going to come there. So that's all going to fit in really nicely, and I am going to over sew these now. So the first thing I need to do is get this teacup in place. I believe that's probably my first job. So cutting off some of this thread. This thread, by the way, if you're interested, is Aurifil 12, and as you may or may not know, it comes in a variety of colours. It's equal to 2 strands of an embroidery floss, and it's very handy for stitching with hand stitching, which should I say. It's not from a machine. You can get Aurifil that does go in a machine. This is not it. Right, successfully threaded my needle. It's always a task. And what I'm going to do, move that out of the way, so I've got a little bit of room. Take that off again. So, I can't remember if I was going that way, and of course I am. That's the way it goes. That makes more sense. Good job I had a look at it. What I do with this, it's quite a thick felt, this one. It's just some spare that I had left over, little scrappages. And I'm going to just over sew or whip stitch it on to my piece. I'll go all the way around it. You can be much neater than I'm being at the minute if you want to be. I am going quite fast and under a camera as well, which is not always the easiest of things to do. But you can take your time. That's what slow stitching's all about. And take that around to the other side. So even though this blue isn't exactly the same kind of blue as my felt, it's still matching in quite nicely. And it's going to work very well. These are such fun to make, I have to say. You know, if you just want to do something simple, like a lot of the little simple things like making the brooches that we've done on here as well, and doing the greetings cards that we did, which has been quite a popular thing as well. But it's just using up all those little odds and ends. I never throw anything out now. It just means I have bags and bags of different size scraps. But that's also fun as well. It's a bit like the button box, you know, the button box that everybody has in their past. Mother's sewing box or a grandmother's sewing box that was filled with buttons, and you just used to play with them. I did that all the time. I was lucky I had 2 button boxes. My grandmother was a big collector of buttons, as was my mother, who was a seamstress. So there were always buttons aplenty to play with in wherever I happened to be at the time. And that seems to be a lot of people had their first inkling of sewing and enjoying things like that is when either their mother or their grandmother was a seamstress or made things or made their own clothes. This is where the threading under a camera falls down. I'm going to go and thread it off camera. Always works when you thread it off camera. First time, no problem. No pressure. Okay. So this is almost tacked down. I will be putting the handle of the cup on. I'm just going to need one stitch all the way through the middle of it, hopefully. Hold it in place. And go in there. And I'm going to take this a little slower just so that I can keep it in place. It's a bit fiddly, but worth it. All the things are worth it. So as I was saying, the ACEOs are the ones that people used to sell. And ATCs weren't always traded, never sold. The ATCs were the first iteration, I believe, and then people thought, okay, and maybe I could sell some of these as well, because it was a way to make small pieces of artwork that were affordable for a lot of people. Okay, let's fasten that off. I've got my handle on there. Right, the next thing I want to do is to position my tea bag. So back to threading. So I've threaded it. I'm going to come up and I'm going to come down to there, I think. And what I'm going to do, instead of using my gem tack, I'm going to use some of this felt and foam glue. Let's see if the top will ever come off. Bear with. So I put a blob on there. Spread it out a little bit. And I am going to hopefully stick it there. Perfect. Well, as perfect as it's going to get. Put the lid back on my glue. And I am actually going to put a stitch through there to attach. Hey, that's all done. Right, so I've had a little decision. I may put some stitches over this as well afterwards, but what I want to do is to put a little bit of this glue here and stay standing, put it back in its pot. I've got a bit of this batting, foam batting stuff, and I'm going to stick that on there. And then that looks like the steam from the cup of tea. Ha! Little things like that amuse me, so that's going on there as well. And now I'm going to put on this little bit of glitz, because if you have seen any of my pieces, you will know that this is something that I do with everything near enough. Just stay there. Right. So the gem tack is great for this. You just have to get it all over the back of your piece, right up to the edges. And there, that'll do. Put the lid back on. And then this, you could use tweezers for this. It's positioned there. And then that will dry really, really quickly. Let me take you down a bit so you can see. So we have our teacup, and now what I'm going to do is to go in and add in all the areas I haven't covered with something with a little bit of a stitch. Now I'm thinking I might use that darker thread to add some detail in somewhere. So I seem to have unravelled way too much of that. There we go. I'm going to use my thicker needle for this because the pearl thread is a pearl 8, I think it is. It's thicker than the Aurifil. But use what you have, you know, just use whatever it is you have. As I say, this is an anchor thread, pearl cotton. So because I want to add in some more little stitchy detail, I'm just going to go down now. I'm going to do it so it's small. I'm going to do one stitch at a time. I'm just adding in a darker element. It's a bit wonky with that first one, but hey, we're not judging. Take me back out a little bit more. I think I've gone in too far. There we go. So I am going to add in some more stitches to this wherever I think I might need some. I know I need some along this bottom edge as well. I may even go around that little tea bag label. Just managed to unthread my needle. Good point for me to stop, and I will be continuing in the little squares, just adding some more stitches. You could do whatever kind of stitch you like. I do like a nice running stitch, I have to say, and it works really well on these small pieces. So I'm going to do that and I'll come back and show you what I did. Okay, so I finished my little blue stitches. I'm going to add probably some more into those bits as well. But I'm thinking my teacup needs something. So where's my little tin? I have some goodies in here. I'm just going to see if I've got anything that will fit the bill. Bird's too big. What have we got? What's something a little bit interesting? She said. He's too big. He's way too big. Maybe just a button. No, maybe not. Maybe I could just embroider something there. That might be an idea. Yeah, I think I'll probably do that. So what thread? Let's use a green one because that will show up. And put these back in there. All kinds of stuff in there. All the little odds and ends. Got some glue stuck to my finger as well. Messy fun. Okay, so the first thing is a sequin. Let's see what I've got here. Trying to find the end would be useful. There we go. So I'm going to put that in. Dear. Hopefully. Come on. It's quite a big needle actually, this one. I'll just pull it through. Let's slot my sequin onto it. There we go. And just secure it in. This needle's probably way too big. Let me go from that side. Secure it in. like so, and then I've add some spikies onto it, I think. Just adding a little bit of interest. I could have found, I had a flower thing, but I don't know where that's gone. I could have put in the centre. I've also got some fabric flowers that I could have put in the centre as well. But for now, this will suffice. So I'm going to continue with this, just stitching around, giving it a little bit of interest. I will stitch around that. I'll probably add some more stitches in and I'll come back and show you what it's looking like. Okay, so I finished the stitching part. Well, for now. I've added in 2 buttons. I added a little strip of the glittery material along the rim there. Finished off my little flowery star thing there. And just added in some more stitches to finish it off. So that's what I'm going to call that done. Now, to put them together with this. So I'm going to cut my fabric here. So this is going to be the backing part of this. So I'm just going to measure an eyeball to see where I'm going to turn it over. You can actually trim this as well if you wanted to. I might actually grab my clips out. Just kind of helps just to hold it in place for a short while until I've figured out my origami. Kind of is a little bit like origami. So that can go there. This one, maybe it needs to move along a bit. Yeah. It needs to be more than there. That's more like it. Put that one on there. Turn this one in. Making it a tightish corner. You could mitre it if you want to. I'm not going to be too fussed about that. Just going to fold it. Finger press it. Find another clip here. Just to hold that. Fold it here. It's going to go there. Try and make it straight. That would help. So there. Another clip. And the last one. This one will go there. Fold it in a little bit more. As long as you've got your bit there, it's all good. So that's it. I'll put that on there. And another clip for the other side. Sticking all the bits in. What I'm going to do is fill in my artist trading. Title, Tea Time. By me. I'm not going to put any contact details in. Today's date, which is, don't even know what the date is anymore. 19. So 19, 5, 24. And this one is number 1 in the series of 1. And that's it. What we have to do now is blanket stitch around it, which I'm going to do. Trying to figure out what colour I'm going to blanket stitch in. Actually, I think I might go with that dark thread. Just because. Cut myself a decent length of that off. I'll try and find a needle we can thread this into, such as this one. Will you be good? Oh no, you're not going to be good, are you? I'll thread it off camera. And so what I'm doing now is just blanket stitching all the way around my piece. You can hear a buzzing. I seem to have a little fly friend with me. It's just coming through the window. So I'm going to continue all the way around, making sure that I am attaching my back on as well. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way around, then I'll be back. So here it is, my final fabric ATC, all completed. I have finished my blanket stitch all around the edge, and on the back I've got my little artist trading card information, which has been ironed as well. I'm not sure if the laundry pan actually requires ironing, but it has been ironed. But definitely the Versacraft does need heat setting, so that should always be ironed before you do anything with it. I don't think these are going to be washed at any point in time, so it's not really super duper necessary, but I think it's always a good step. So there we are. 2 little artist trading cards. I'm sure that you can run with this and do your own thing with it, so your own colorways and your own ideas and designs. Sometimes it's easy to sketch them out, sometimes just go with your intuition and see what you can come up with. Anyway, that's it from me. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, don't forget to show me your thumbs and a like and subscribe. Can I say that this means an awful lot to any channel that you watch here on YouTube. It certainly does show YouTube that people are interested and helps to push the video out to other people who might also be interested as well. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you very soon with something else. Bye for now.